my whole thing is how do I change the world by changing one person at a time today, starting with you and me.
You are a person who, when Linda and I sit down and talk with, you actually make us feel more relaxed. Just the sound of your voice, which I think is pretty amazing.
Well, it's like therapy. And my hair is messy because I just got an adjustment right before this.
Yeah,
so
we
now
don't
I'm
call
just
it
like,
adjustments. They're not adjustments, they're adjustments. But I think the one thing, I need to know what your voodoo spell is that you have on people when you talk to them, because everybody says the same thing.
Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to... Okay, first, hi.
Hi, yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you, is there anyone you come across that you can't talk to? Like, that you don't find it easy to talk to?
Aside from me.
Except for Drew, you know, it's pretty rare because I think it's all about the presence that you provide, really, when it comes down to it. And so it's just, you know, finding the ways of the entry modes and just like how to mirror them back. Conversation's kind of easy.
I assume it's because you listen a lot more than most people do. I mean, a lot of people in conversation just wait for their turn to talk. Is that what I just did right there? Wait, what are you pointing at? but you actually are taking in what somebody says so that you're adapting to how they hear things or how they want to communicate. And I think that is such an amazing tool to have.
Oh man, thanks. It is fun. I mean, I think people like to be heard. And so listening is such an important thing. It's part of the conversation. You know, I think always being in the learning mode and curiosity and wanting to know more about that individual is there's always something to celebrate in someone. So learning for that piece is really exciting.
But did you grow up? You have a brother, also named Jonathan.
Wait, we just met him 2 weeks ago in Vancouver, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, "You're Justin's brother!"
Oh yeah, yeah. He walked into the room. You weren't even standing there. He walked into the room, and Linda already knew. But growing up as kids, like you and your brother, like me and my Jonathan, growing up, you know, it was sort of, we had our own little language, but. Did you have that same sort of calming way that you spoke to your siblings when your brother when you were younger?
No, not at all.
So where did that come from?
I was probably actually the least spoken in the family. And so maybe the whole idea of the listening part, just being the observer constantly, was my role.
So you were quiet?
I was super quiet. Still am, more in the family, for sure. But as far as like the brother kind of language, he would always be scolding me.
So then your brother's how much older?
He's 2.5 years older than I am.
Only 2.5 years. Yeah. And growing up though, did you guys feel sort of thick as thieves, or was that a big gap when you were kids?
You know, I've always felt really close to my brother, and even more so there was just because like there's only 2.5 years. So we went to junior high. We spent half a year in the same school. Same with high school.
Did you guys hang out at school?
I would always be known as like Jonathan or JT's brother.
Oh, he's JT too.
Because he's JT as well.
Oh, both JTs.
Yeah. And so, you know, growing up, I always had this like affinity of like, I'm so proud to be like JT's brother. Growing up, we had many family trips going to like Malaysia, and my parents are from Malaysia, and we go back every other year, so we're really fortunate to go back and have cultivated connection there. I remember actually one trip, my brother and I, the cohesiveness with my brother and I was actually in Florida, and we would have to put my dad had a low back chronic pain, and would have a scooter, electronic scooter, and you have to like take it apart to fit into the rental car and put it back together. So we would just work like little mechanics, like like pit crew of a race car.
Wait, how old were you for this?
Oh man, we were like, this was probably like maybe like 9 and 11.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh wow.
So your dad having back problems with what you do now, I mean...
Is that what inspired you to get into it?
Reflecting on the process, I think, you know, subconsciously, I never really associated at first, and then reflecting on it, I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. You know?
Now your parents can thank you because they're now in a bike gang.
Yeah. They are in full-on biker gang there. They've been doing amazing adventures this past summer.
Wait, am I missing something here?
They're in a biker gang, like true.
Yeah. So this year...
A cyclist gang?
A cyclist gang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting all the inside scoop. Should I be afraid of being in a dark alley with your parents? They're going to mug me?
You might watch out.
So that's what they've been doing for activity, is a lot of cycling?
Yeah, this year, I'm so proud of them. This year, my dad really surprised the family, invested in an e-bike. Mom got a really amazing road bike, and they just like took this on as the new like lifestyle and health in a way to kind of connect with friends and establish community.
And so your dad's back problems, was that something that was just short term, or was it chronic that it was with him for years?
Yeah, it's been since, since probably I was 8 years old.
So he still has it?
Still has it, it's chronic.
So is there anything from what you've learned that is something that can give him more relief from some of the chronic issues that he has?
Yeah, over the years, working with Dad, it's been great to see how, working with biomechanics, but also just body awareness, he's done a lot for like pain management and his own mindful and Zen practice, coming to his own like, okay, how do I, stimulus response, how do I manage that? And so I've learned from him actually a lot of the techniques of pain management. And then just as a hands-on therapy, just being able to, coerce the body and the mind into like a more relaxed state so that you can access those states of pain management better. I think that's just been kind of the complement.
And that's with alcohol or heavy drugs?
Yeah, again, yeah.
Both.
Specifically.
That's your degree, is just to write prescription. No, I mean, that's the one thing I actually really love, because I've had some issues. Actually, everyone we know who you've done an adjustment with has said there's this issue they've had for years that they've been dealing with, and one session with you has given them more mobility or movement or reduced pain from what they've been experiencing for years. And that kind of blows my mind, because I've done, having gone to school for kinesiology, having a pretty good understanding of the body, I would think with some of the issues that I've had, I could figure it out. I could do some exercise to figure it out, but I haven't been able to get rid of some things. And then you come in, and in one session, you nail it. And I've been to other, physiotherapists. I've been to chiropractors. I've been to people who have done acupuncture, active release. I've done everything, and I just find it very interesting how you have these magic hands.
Magic hands.
Well,
You're our secret weapon.
How are you single with those magic hands? I mean.
Am I single? That's the question.
Whoa! Is there something we need to know?
So going back to the magic hands, the idea is that it first and foremost comes to the celebration that, I have to say thank you to you all for the trust and the belief in me. And it would be totally injustice for me to say that I'm doing the healing, because it's actually your own systems, your own bodies that's so sensitive and so receptive, right? And it's just the ability that we can connect, find the entry point, and be able to empower, inspire a mode of healing. That's where it happens. It's not necessarily that like, ooh, I got like magic fingers and like here's a magic dust.
I just want to let you know, all the talking you're doing right now, Linda is totally zoning out. She's touching my arm and her palms are super sweaty. It's because all she's thinking about is, are you now dating?
That is so funny.
Only because I care, not for like gossipy reasons.
No, I know why you care, because she tried to set you up on a date and she wants to know if it paid off.
They definitely did, and I will say that I'm still open to seeing how everything unravels.
Right, so basically you've had sex, but you're not dating. You don't need to answer that. That's fine.
So the area of not talking is probably that area.
Is there anyone you want me to ask not to listen to this podcast episode? Yeah.
I'll have to count them out now.
Oh my gosh. You should feel my armpits right now. I'm so happy.
Well, it's good to know. I'm glad that at least Linda's attempt to set you up. Well, you're so sweaty. What are you so sweaty for? Oh my gosh.
Because I'm happy.
There, she's happy, because we never set anybody up. Because
I've never in my entire life.
No, we like the idea of finding two amazing people and seeing if they'll work together, but we've never actually done it because we don't want to try and force something that doesn't naturally happen.
Yeah, but we wanted to force this.
We wanted to force this, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But that kind of makes us sort of like the magical matchmakers. The mom and dad? Or the other mom and dad? That's kind of creepy, yeah. But, well, on the healing side of things, give us sort of the progression of where you got to where you are now. I mean, you work with the Canadian Olympic team. So explain a little bit of your progression with everything you did.
Honestly, it's about it's about timing. It's about the opportunities that come at hand. It's about creating the relationships and the rapport with your clients. Honestly, that really elevate the game. Yes, I'm very blessed to have put the work in and the practice and the diligence. I ran a lot of seminars when I was in school, really dived into the hands-on practice, and I'm a lover of wisdom, so I really kind of soaked in the knowledge and experience through my education. But honestly, it really comes down to knowing the right, or having the right community, and them just vouching for you as a person.
The way you're so different to me is that you do more than just chiropractic. You're not just looking to crack someone's back. You sit down, you listen, you understand the person, understand what some of their issues have been, what their lifestyle is like, and then you activate the magic. Mm-hmm. But again, I mean, so you do some active release, some meditation, roller and ball work, you do chiropractic, physio,
Like I didn't realize when I first got on your table back in Calgary, this was just last year, I remember saying to you specifically, I've never been to a chiropractor, I've never needed it. I don't think there's anything wrong with me. And as soon as I lay down, I was like, oh, well, there's this kink in my neck that I've always had. And when I turn, I just hear cracks. But I didn't realize what I was missing until adjustments. And I didn't realize that a chiropractic session would now have led us to all of our talks about overall wellness and meditation and eating properly and just slowing our brains down.
The physical body is such a bridge into so many other aspects of our human experience. And that's kind of the key is, you guys trusting me with, your physical well-being allows us to talk more about the health performance or the wellness or the lifestyle kind of goals. And it's just a nice communicative bridge that enables so much more exploration into how to live an optimal life.
Yeah. So how do you find in at home? I mean, where you live can affect you mentally, emotionally, physically. How you live can affect you mentally, emotionally, physically. And so what do you find are habits that you have that really help, right from waking up? Whether it's the mattress you sleep on or a health shake that you make in the morning. What are certain habits that you have in your house to really make you feel, one, that you love where you live, you're loving life, and that you just feel
at home.
Yeah, at home, and revitalized every day.
Well, there's definitely, so as an optimized coach, something I just graduated from this weekend, which I'm super stoked. Ran a Spartan race, and been a year long. Oh, you did the Spartan race? We did the Spartan race.
Did you come in last?
I was in the middle of the pack, maybe three quarters of the last ones in. But the whole thing was we had 500 of us running the race.
Oh, wow.
As one group.
As one group.
Yeah.
And my goal was to, at every obstacle, was at least minimum help one individual achieve their highest self on that obstacle.
You know what? You're such a jerk. I just want to finish this friggin' race and beat some people. And you're in there, excuse me, sir, you're like on Instagram when they play videos to make you cry when it's somebody they're running, and this is for the Olympic gold medal, and somebody falls next to them and they stop to go help them, and
pick them up.
Way to make me look bad. No, I'm just joking, but that's amazing. So how did you help them through, what were the obstacles?
Oh my goodness. Well, the Spartan race is incredible. And so you have a rope climb, you have sandbag carries, you have water plunge. The
water plunge?
Water plunge.
Cold water plunge?
You're in murky, muddy water.
But are you swimming through?
You go under a wall. You sploosh through.
I hate that word.
You go under, it is muddy water.
Yeah.
What if you get it in your eyes and get it like a pink eye or something?
Well, you get pink eye then. But it's the obstacle that I loved the most was the first thing off the bat. Is literally a 500-meter walk in a cold lake. You run up and you see this lake, and you have to go in, submerge yourself.
I just felt Drew shrivel up.
I can't stand the cold. I literally cannot stand the cold. So you walk through the lake it's deep enough to go up to your head?
It's like chest height. It's probably the lowest point.
So for Linda, it's above her head.
For Linda, it's
I'd be underwater.
That to me, I'll do cold water up to my shins, maybe my mid-thigh, but I'm not passing my junk with cold water because that's just the worst thing in the world.
Well, it's just the first obstacle, and you have to be mindful through it because it's muddy, it's murky, there's roots, there's plants, there's other people, there's other obstacles. And the thing that really refreshed me was they're not kidding around.
Yeah.
You're committed, you are in the Spartan race, you showed up,
That's the first.
You're not quitting now. You're committed to the process.
So the goal for this Spartan race, especially as a part of this course, that you literally, the end exam, your final exam is the Spartan race.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's crazy. I love that. I actually do love that.
And then the next day, it's day one. Because as an optimized coach, like what our philosophy is like, it's like, how do you show up with your best self in mind always, moment to moment to moment, and knowing that there's obstacles along the way. And so our mantra throughout the entire race was OHMS. Obstacles make me stronger.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which is just a great reflection for life.
Which is a great reflection for life.
But when you walked up to like that cold ass water, or you walked up to like that muddy pit that you had to sploosh through, did you go like, oh my God, this is awful? Like, did you doubt yourself at any point that you wouldn't finish?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, obviously, but the thing is, like, you look around and you get so inspired by the community, you get so inspired by who's doing it, and you're just like this tribe that's like, look, there's an obstacle, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And it's about going through the obstacle. Like, obstacle is the way, as Ryan Holiday would talk about in Stoic philosophy. So it's like, let's show up and go through it, commit to yourself. How do you show up with your best self?
Wait, who did you just say?
Ryan Holiday.
Write that down.
He's got some really great books. Obstacle Way, Stoic, Every Day.
Very cool.
So not to be competitive, but how long did it take?
So actually, again, I was like probably mid-pack. It took us an hour and 48 minutes.
Okay.
No big deal, but I would have done an hour and 10, maybe an hour and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
OHMS.
Just crushing it. And I will challenge us as we pursue our health goals and objectives that we're going to do a Spartan race together.
That's hell.
Okay, so Spartan race is the splooshing underwall water thingy, the cold water wading.
So there's 20 obstacles.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's 20 obstacles, and this was done in just under a 5-kilometer race.
Okay.
And the obstacles are designed so that you actually fail at them, right? Because at every one you fail at, you get to do burpees. 30 burpees, your favorite.
Oh my God.
Okay, wait.
This is like if I was to go to hell and then I was given like a torture that I have to do for the rest of my life. It sounds like this Spartan race would be
barfies.
that. With burpees. I call them barfies because that's what it makes me feel like.
So you failed at every obstacle? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I didn't fail at every obstacle.
Because you're superhuman.
Yeah.
But they're designed to challenge you. They're designed to bring up your limitations and the different beliefs that you are like, I'm not good enough, I can't do that.
Yeah, doubting yourself.
Right? But then to encourage you to, hey, show up and do the thing that you can do, push yourself.
So if you say don't do the rope climb, if you can't finish it and then you do burpees, do you still have to go back and finish it before you can move on, or the burpees lets you move to the next?
Yeah, the burpees is like your bridge through, your pass through.
But so how did you get to working with the Olympic team? Because you work with the Olympic bobsled and skeleton team, which I think is phenomenal. And that's like my parents' obsession, Winter Olympics every... summer they love, but every Winter Olympic they are glued to their television watching.
Amazing. Yeah, honestly, working with the Bobsleigh Canada skeleton team is such an opportunity, such a fun gig to have. How that all came about was we had a lot of the athletes in the program already training with us. Okay. And so really got to kind of create some grassroots rapport and results with them at that early stage. And then as the career evolved, 4 years later, 5 years later, the opportunity came to working with these athletes on the track, at the Canadian Sports Institute in Calgary, or the Canadian Olympic Park in Calgary. And then that led to where my colleague now, Dr. Amy McKinnon, is like their head paramedical lead. And so, all these opportunities just kind of fell in place and with alignment to be on tour with these athletes. And it does come from the ground up as building that trust, getting the results, and really just being a full support for the team. And there's nothing better than really following through with their dream.
Oh yeah, and it's such high level performing athletes as well. I think that's probably one of the reasons you decided to work with Linda and me, is because we're basically like extra high performing athletes.
Monkey bars.
I've learned the most. I've learned the most on this adventure.
Yes,
by far, about how to move the needle through fabric.
Yes.
How has it been on like traveling with us on the road, because you still have a clinic in Calgary, which you still manage with your team there, but you're also on the road with us. How has that been, you know, just like how is that experience just different from like being in one spot versus now?
Because you had your clinic, and then now you've been on the road a lot with us, which takes you away from clinics. So like, aside from getting death threats and hate mail from your clients that we took you away from, how does that affect you?
Side note, I'll just say I love my community so much, and I miss you guys too, and I love them. I'm coming back intermittently.
And I'll say sorry.
No, honestly, the community is so receptive and so supportive. They know that I'm a life experiencer and that I will always go out and learn new things to bring it back to them. And so they're so encouraging. And being on the road has been literally probably the most, as I said earlier, like the most life-altering and learning experience I've had. I guess the other one is actually doubling down on the relationships.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So,
like, are we talking about your girlfriend now, or? Like,
no, okay. Not necessarily partner, but
future wife. Yeah.
Future goddess. But it's more of, really. I was so inspired about the relationships and friendships that you guys have, your crew that you guys, have around you. I've been around for 9+ years. The friends that you guys have and introduced me to, which I'm so grateful for, is, again, they've been lifelong friends. And that's so rare to come by. And that made me reflect so much more on how am I showing up my relationships, where's my loyalty, where's my depth of value that I'm providing them. And not just to friends, but like more importantly to my family, and seeing the interaction you guys have with your families and how important that is as a priority. That just was so inspiring. So inspiring, and made me really double down on the presence, the importance, and just the love that I can give back to my family.
You know what I love is, what you say you're a life experiencer, or is that how you explain it? Yeah, like I love that, because it's, most people get into a groove with work. They just have a routine they get into. It's the same thing, or they think they know their priorities, but if they were really to step back, take a breath, look at their life, they would realize, and I'm bad for this too with how much we work, where I realize my priorities have shifted. Family is my big priority, Linda is my big priority, and we want to have kids as well. That should be the ultimate priority. And but then we end up work.
Yeah,
and we
it's
let
one
things
thing
get in
to
the way.
feel a priority, or like say this is my priority, but your actions obviously show otherwise.
And you're doing that, like, which is inspiring for us, and I think everyone else that you come into contact with.
And again, I attribute that to this opportunity this year, along with being on the road with you all. I've actually taken on the opportunity to become an optimized coach, and it's been a year-long study, 300 days. And our whole concept is operationalizing virtue. Meaning, as you just said, like, hey, my priority, my value is to be in love, or to be a father, mother, or what's that virtue, or how to be present, how to be
and not just have it and say it.
Not just have it in mind, but have it in action. And so this whole 300 days process has been gaining the wisdom, and it's exciting too, because like when we have such ambitious individuals, like getting to work with you guys that are such amazing dreamers and have such amazing vision for not just yourselves, your family, your friends, but also for like the world, like to inspire them to live an adventurous, joyful life. It's like, that's something that we can get behind.
Here you are, you've been all over the country, with us and with the Olympic team and everything else you do, and also like clinics. You're brought all over the country to do training and clinics for
Rolex
and Rocktape and everything else that you do. So that's pretty cool. So how do you like the balance between in clinic with clients that you have a longer relationship with, and then on the road with projects where you're teaching a whole new group of people who have come together because they've heard about your experience?
It's such an amazing experience and opportunity to broaden my own horizons. Getting to teach, it keeps my mind fresh. So Rocktape is a movement company where we do functional movement taping or instrument-assisted techniques, or we have a movement specialist course, and so my mind's constantly bombarded with such rich and up-to-date knowledge from our crew, and that is so great because that's where my bread and butter is actually clinic.
Yeah.
And then so teaching for them has been a huge privilege and an honor to expand my own clinical brain and satiate that scientific mind of mine.
AKA nerdy mind.
Nerdy mind. Yeah. Oh, straight nerd. Straight up nerd.
I am the same as you. I just don't wear the glasses.
And then Relax has actually just been more of a passion project of being able to, curate an experience so that people can experience their body and their system more fully, and to again gain that awareness, intention, mastery over themselves.
We all love the way you lead the Relax classes because you're able to make us get in touch with parts of our bodies that we never pay attention to, but in a fun way. Like when you lead Relax classes, we did one in the park in Mississauga, and we're all just laughing in pain, but like good pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Linda that I learned many years ago. If you're doing something that hurts her, like if I'm digging in on like a somewhere she's ticklish or like a knot in her back, she laughs. She doesn't cry out in pain, and so
the giggles are real.
That's foreplay for me. I just push on her knots.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The giggles are real for sure. And the betterment on the table.
Yeah. What's for you? What's the ultimate goal, or what's something you want to see happen in the next 5 or 10 years?
I'm just coming off of an amazing weekend, right? As I just shared that, we graduated with Optimized Coach, inspired by the community that showed up, inspired by the mentors and the teachers that have supported us along the entire way in the team, that really encourages us to show up as ourselves as coaches. And so our whole thing is how do I change the world by changing one person at a time today, starting with you and me. So really, my big vision is, how do we deliver deep value, deep presence in the relationships that we have right now, knowing that when we can create influence here, we can create an influence on the world.
Yeah.
And I know that, times in these days, we have the whole spectrum. We have amazing things happening in the world, and we also have not so amazing things in the world. And if we can create and cultivate a bit more of that awareness and intention and presence within ourselves, a lot of good shifts can occur.
Good shifts or shit?
Both. Good shit.
Yeah.
Comes from good
shift
shifts.
and good shifts. Yeah.
I think actually that I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt and wear it.
Yeah, that's like Mr. Rogers deep.
Mr. Rogers.
When we all went and watched Mr. Rogers. In fact, so you probably didn't know this, or maybe you did know this.
No, I spilled the beans.
Oh, you did? Okay, so Linda's original hookup for you and your mysterious future wife, she tried to seat the two of you together at the private screening we did of the new Mr. Rogers film. And so, but you were there and she sat you, and then you probably noticed the empty seat next to you, and then she was running late, and so Linda was texting her exactly where to go, what seat. I'm like, you're making it so weird. The movie was started. She just wants to sneak in, and she would be walking past a whole bunch of empty seats to walk around an upper row and then back into where you are. I'm like, you're making this really weird. I was telling
her, like, when you go in, turn right, go to the end, and then go up, and then to your right, there's an empty seat beside a guy with a hat.
Yeah, I'm like, you're just making it really awkward. So I'm glad that didn't pan out, and that another time you organically got to have a good conversation with her. But yeah, I think what you were saying before with one, affecting one person at a time, working with one person at a time can really make change in the whole world. And that's something that both Linda and I have believed in for a long time, because you don't have to be a celebrity to make a difference in the world. You don't have to have $1 billion to make a difference. Every single person can make a difference in someone else's life, and then that can have an exponential reaction in this world. And so kudos to everything you're doing there.
No, I love what you were saying there, in the sense that if we all took a bit more ownership, in the sense that we are very competent influencers, and took that that superpower of ours in the micro engagements that we have day to day, in the elevator, at the cashier line, walking down the street, at the airport, at the parking valet,
Why are you guys? I feel like you're ganging up on me. I think we need to explain what we're talking about here.
Let us finish this thought first. Like, I love that interpretation of influencer, because nowadays I I don't know why that word gives me like, I don't know, yucky feelings.
I think the thing is, a lot of people think that influencer means you're like a social media influencer, but it's not for a good reason.
You can be an influencer in your own home with your parents, with your kids.
Absolutely.
The stranger you walk by.
You create immense impact on an individual that you are just an interaction with right here in this room, or passing in the street. Your presence is so palpable,
or at the airport.
Or at the airport.
Listen, I walk faster than Linda, and
I wasn't even talking about
you're talking about.
All right, let me just point out, I did not purposely cut out the video just because I didn't want this story about me in the parking garage being heard. The camera died. And so
conveniently,
I will tell the story, and then Linda will tell you if I'm lying. So what happened, we were on a date night, and we were going out, and this was a day where everything was going wrong. Like this evening on the date, we went to this one restaurant. It was closed. So
well, it all started in the parking garage when we parked, and then we were trying to get out of the parking lot, and we kept getting lost because the elevator wasn't working. The door to the stairway to get out of the parking lot was locked.
Yeah, it was locked.
So it was just little.
We're like trapped.
It was a weird night.
It was weird. So then after all this, I ended up getting validation for where we parked at the restaurant, because the first restaurant we went to, they said, "Oh, we're closed." I said, "Well, please at least validate my parking." And so they did. Anyway, we go to the other restaurant, we come back, go down in the car. As we're leaving, I go to put in the validation. You're supposed to put the validation in, and then you put in your ticket. And then it just says validation not accepted, and then it doesn't give it back to me.
It ate the ticket.
It ate the ticket, basically. And so I pushed the help button on there, and I said, "Hey, I put in my validation, and it didn't work." And the parking attendant guy just said to me, "Well, then try having one that works." And we were already in this parking garage down in this area where you kind of drive down a spiral to get to it. You can't just back up to go out. And I'm like, "But I can't." I said, "I had a valid working one. Why didn't it work?" And it didn't even give it back to me. It's like, "Not my problem. Go back to the restaurant and get another one." I said, "I can't back up out here. I literally am stuck."
And right away I was like, "Oh gosh."
Linda could hear me escalating. And I'm standing up for what's right. So by the way, it was like $1 or $3. It wasn't like a big amount, but I was standing up for what's right. I said, "No," I said, "Sorry, but I am not in the wrong here. I had a valid validation. I came in time. I should not have to pay for this." And the guy was giving me such attitude. He was like, "Oh, really? Not my problem. How about this? Hang up." He said to me, "How about this? I'm hanging up." And he hung up. And then I tried to hit the call button again, and he blocked it from me calling back. Anyway, long story short, I was trying to call. I was trying to I couldn't back out. There's nothing I could do.
No, wait, hold on. So Drew gets out of the car. I'm like, "Oh gosh, let's just go. Let's just pay it and go." And
but then I didn't even have the ticket, so I couldn't even pay it.
That's true. Drew got out of the car, and from my perspective, I thought you were cursing the camera or something.
Linda thought I was looking at the camera that they have there and yelling and giving it the finger and everything else, but I wasn't.
"Oh my gosh!"
What I did is I was pushing the button on the thing, and the guy was blocking it, but I knew they could still see me, so I was waving at the camera saying, lift the arm," and they weren't. And so I went over to lift the arm, and maybe I was in a height of Superman strength. I broke the arm in the middle when I tried to lift it. I didn't even think I tried to lift that hard. Anyway, I lift it, it snaps, and the top of it comes down on the hood of my car and scratches my car. Serves me right. And then I just look at it with this look of defeat. Now, granted,
and then you got back into the car and sat down, and your exhale was you were so defeated. You're like,
yeah.
And then you got out again because you felt bad. You tried to fix it.
The arm was now out of the way, so I was able to drive out, and then I tried to fix the arm and whatever. Anyway, the next day I felt so bad. I went back to the mall. I went to the security supervisor, and I said, "Hey, the parking arm that was broken, that was me. I'll pay for it and whatever else." And I told her the story, and she totally backed me and said that she's had a lot of complaints from that security person. And anyway, they already fixed it. It was an easy fix. So long story short, don't attack parking garage arms and zen yourself. But I was in the right. I had a ticket, and the guy was just being so cruel.
So you basically just needed to be validated.
I needed to be validated. Wah, wah. Anyway, if you do want to check out the rest of Justin's interview, which really does help center you and zen you, you can check it out on Apple Podcasts, and you can also go to athomepodcast.net.